Bruce Jenner got into a very serious car accident over the weekend. It took place on PCH. It was a 4-car crash, and unfortunately, one woman lost her life as a result. Several others were wounded and sent to the hospital. Now, authorities are investigating this, but Jenner did say that he got into this car accident as the result of paparazzi following him. Initial investigations indicated that paparazzi did not play a role in the car crash, okay? But that's just an initial investigation. We don't know how this is going to play out. Now, again, 4 cars were involved in this crash. It was on a very windy portion of Pacific Coast Highway. And all that they can do right now is investigate and see exactly what caused it and why it happened. Bruce Jenner did release an apology. He says that he sends his heartfelt and deepest sympathies go out to the family and loved ones and to all of those who were involved or injured in this terrible accident. It is a devastating tragedy, and I cannot pretend to imagine what this family is going through at this time. I am praying for them. I will continue to cooperate in every way possible. Things just keep falling apart for this guy. I mean, the way the media is covering his possible transition, if he is transgender, I don't even know if I'm believing the rumors right now. People are hounding him about it, tearing him apart. I don't know. I actually feel bad for him, but we don't know what caused the car accident.
So obviously this all depends on how things shake out. So the fact that he appears to have made up the stuff about the paparazzi, that could be really devastating. But look, it's the first day. Things always change. The first 24 hours, you always get shaky news, right? So hold judgment here, okay? But if paparazzi aren't following him and he says they were following him, then he's making excuses. So then that leads you to believe, oh boy, it might have largely been his fault, right? Because you wouldn't make up stuff like that if it wasn't if a car crashed into you, you wouldn't have to make up anything.
So when I was reading reports about this, there was one police official who said, well, paparazzis are on the scene following all the time, but we don't know whether or not the paparazzi caused him to crash. So there could have been paparazzi there.
And they might have just driven away, right?
Exactly.
So, and even if there isn't, this guy's whole life is lived under the eye of and the watch of paparazzi. So that could have led to a psychological issues, being distracted, whatever it might be, being paranoid. But on the other hand, the family has asked for that, literally. So they didn't ask for this crash, but they asked to live under that microscope. And there's rumors now that Bruce Jenner is going to have his own show about the transition.
Right.
You know, and then, but then you can't blame the paparazzi after you invite them inside your house.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but bounds of reason, right? Paparazzi do what they do, but sometimes they do put public figures in danger with the ways that they chase them down to get pictures or video or whatever.
And again, we don't know that happened yet. If it happened, then you're right, because they're not just putting Bruce Jenner's life in danger, which is bad enough, but they also put other people's life in danger, and then somebody died here. So, and PCH is a pretty, at times, treacherous highway. I mean, it really is very narrow, very windy, so accidents also happen for other reasons.
Yes. And look, aside from the accident, I do want to comment on something else, and I touched on this a little bit when we talked about Bruce Jenner possibly transitioning in a previous video, but I want to elaborate on it a little bit. Look, this guy, I know he's a public figure, I know he's in a reality show, and I know that his family has made clowns of themselves in the past, right? But that's no excuse to treat someone like they're some sort of circus animal because they might be transitioning from a male to a female, right? Like the way that story has been covered, and of course in tabloids have no class, so they don't care. But the way that it's been covered has been so irresponsible and so despicable, so disgusting. And I don't know, it just makes me feel like a situation where, you know, if he is transitioning, right, he could be utilized for an educational purpose. And if he does decide to make a series out of this, or if he does decide to grant ABC an interview about this, it's a teachable moment. But instead of treating it like that, it's just this big, salacious story that everyone's laughing and giggling about. It's not funny.
Well, Anna, on that and in the accident, it all depends on context, right? So if Jenner is part of making it a sideshow and, you know, and doing a reality show around it, etc., instead of, if he just does an ABC interview and explains what he's going through, that's a huge and important moment that could be really a force for good.
Right.
He turns it into another Jenner clown show, then he's partly at fault, at least. And in the case of the crash, of course, we don't know what happened, so it's not time to blame anybody. It could, if it turns out that he was, you know, it's his fault for whatever reason, okay? Well, then of course I lose all sympathy for him.
Right.
And other people's lives are at stake, right? Whether it's other trans people who are going through a transition themselves, et cetera. It's not just about you. If you're the most public face of it, you have a certain degree of responsibility. Same is, of course, true of driving, in this case, quite literally, right? If it turns out that he wasn't doing anything wrong, it was just a horrible accident, and that happens. There are accidents in life, right? For whatever reason, then I feel triply bad for him. I mean, he's under a microscope. He was trying to possibly do the right thing. And there's the world of pressure on him, and then this happens, and somebody loses their life. It's impossible to feel worse for somebody.